Big news yesterday was the Middle East peace deal. Some indications in Israel and on the ground with more violence that the deal may be a bit fragile, but the conventional wisdom amongst many people is that it will hold, and that is a great accomplishment. And despite the sniping and credit taking and sarcasm on both sides, this is an unprecedented cooperation between an outgoing and incoming administration that allowed this to happen. I compared it to trying to open a jar of pickles. Joe Biden worked on the jar for like a year to try to get the lid off the thing and then handed it to Donald Trump, and Trump popped it open. But he couldn't have popped it open if Biden hadn't loosened it up with years trying to get that lid off. Now, yesterday, Donald Trump, National Security Advisor, was generous about sharing credit. Donald Trump himself on Truth Social, not so generous. The State Department spokesman, what's his name? Miller? What's that guy's name?
Matt Miller.
Matt Miller, who used to be the Justice Department spokesman.
Can I just to be clear on,
yes,
on the Trump, he did take credit, but he didn't knock Biden. He just took credit. That's different.
Yeah, but well, it's a little bit different, Sean. But in a normal world, two people would they'd have a joint event and say our joint statement. He took the credit. He didn't knock Biden, but he took the credit. Just as Biden took the credit. Just as
Biden didn't.
Biden took the credit.
When asked, did not.
I agree. But Matt Miller, who's one of the smartest people, best, hardest working people I know in either party, spoke at the State Department and shared the credit, followed by an extraordinary interlude from Sean's successor, the White House press secretary. Please roll tape.
When it comes to the involvement of President Trump's team, it's been absolutely critical in getting this deal over the line.
Around who gets to take credit for this deal.
No one's dancing around here.
State Department briefed our colleagues that President Trump was critical in getting this deal over the line. Do you not agree with that statement?
I mean, look, I'm not going to speak to a random person. I don't know who this person is. I'm not going to. Oh. What I can say is, look, obviously Matt Miller will speak for himself. What I can say is there are steps that were taken here that is really important and critical, and that started with this president's.
All right, Sean, we always try to be forward-looking rather than just retrospective here. But what does that say to you about how to be White House press secretary? What does that say to you about how to do the job going forward?
Don't be a moron. The idea, like, I know who Matt Miller is. This is not like the idea that you're calling the State Department spokesman a random person. One, shows cluelessness. Two, the idea that it's not coordinated and you didn't know what he was going to say. I would always say to the guys at State, I'm going out to brief. What are you guys saying ahead of time? Is this the message? I'll echo it, or I stand by what State said. The idea that she threw him under the bus shows a complete lack of, so forward-looking, coordinate your statements, know who your colleagues are. He is not some low-level deputy spokesman from some random consular bureau. He is the State Department spokesman. And to say you don't know who a rando is just makes you look incompetent on the world stage. But I would just say this as a side note to the deal. Your description and your analogy is very apt. I think the idea that, part of the reason that Hamas, I think, gave is that they said, wow, Biden's got this deal. If we were looking for daylight between the two administrations, not only one not getting it, but Trump's going to amp it up. We might as well cut the deal now. This is good for America. I actually really do think that the press went a little overboard trying to figure out who got credit. They played into this too much. This was a good deal for America. The idea that Americans are being released is a good day for our country. And the idea that the press corps focused more on who to give credit for and baiting the situation speaks very poorly on them as in their industry.
I agree with you, but what she did and what President Trump did were both unnecessary.
Yeah,
unnecessary. And Joe Biden.
I think that if you're asking what the next press secretary should do, look at how Karine Jean-Pierre has handled her job and do the exact opposite.
Dan.
Yeah, I totally agree with both of you guys. And I think, look, if anyone deserves probably the most credit, it's Israel. They decimated the leadership of both Hamas and Hezbollah. And with Assad gone, it was a blow to Iran. And I think Trump coming in did give, Israel some more leverage, because I think they knew that things were probably only going to get worse with kind of a complete green light for Israel from the United States. So I think they all deserve credit. It's an American deal. It's good for the country. It's good for the world.
Okay, here's the lesson going forward. Everyone write this down. One of the smartest and one of the biggest tests of intelligence for any person is to have the good sense to turn down a job you are offered when you are not qualified for the job. Okay? It's a really important thing. Really important. Even if it's a job you've always wanted, you should ask yourself, am I qualified to do this job?